This is the future.
So I just want to show you guys how powerful this original Incarnon weapon in the Duviri paradox. In Steel Path Duviri experience it wrecks everything. And in Steel Path Circuit, you will see why this is the perfect gun for hardcore content. Now, we all know how strong the Letum is. It is considered the boss killer in Steel Path, the easy demolished killer, and the best secondary that Digital Extremes ever built. Pair Letum with Xata's Whisper and its madness. However, I'm not done appreciating this Incarnon pistol as in the Steel Path Circuit. It certainly is the best and most fun I have in terms of easy killing enemies. Even against enemies that level scales over 1,000, it only takes 1, 2 or 3 shots to kill trash mobs, and a couple for those units which has overguard. In fact, Letum is one of the best weapons, aside from other Incarnon guns, that can take out overguard easily. The build I am using was this simple combination of some dual status chance mods, primed heated charge, primed fulmination, which is not even that helpful at all. In Steel Path, you will usually see group enemies, and fulmination is actually quite fun, especially if you are grouping enemies often. However, all I did in the Steel Path Circuit was kill enemies one by one, as they are often far from each other. Also, I got hemorrhage on this. While it's a good mod, but it's suboptimal if you want to get the highest DPS output for this gun. Slash and bleed procs are great, but not for this gun, as this is all about raw power. This was my first time using Letum in Steel Path Circuit, and the mod I had kind of sucks, but it still melt and I was not even having a hard time. Well, I also has Xata's Whisper on it, but the point is, even with suboptimal mods, the Letum still wrecks. If I'm going to mod the Letum for Duviri, then I will go with a build like this. Enemies in the circuit are mostly corrupted, so it would be great to have primed expel corrupted on this. Not only because they do damage, but also because there are decrees in the game mode which double dips with a faction mod, and we will talk about that later. Also, I want to talk about the secondary Encumber Arcane being the best in slot. In my opinion, this is the best arcane for the Duviri missions, as like a faction mod. There is also decrees in the game mode that guarantees status procs, and the chances of doing double damage on a specific status is high. Not to mention that the boost in damage in every decree you have will boost the status, further boosting the overall DPS of your Letum in Duviri. So, what are these decrees I'm talking about? There are a couple of ones, but remember, decree acquisition are random and you have no control on what to get first. Just use this guide as a reference on what to get first if you have a Letum in hand. So here are the list of decrees that you should get first, but let me tell you the most important first, and that is unlocking the combat intrinsic in your drifter, and getting the deadly decrees, which grants 10% damage per decree you gain. This will be your main damage booster for the Letum, and every decree you gain will substantially increase your damage. The best part is, it's not just limited to new decrees, but also to those upgraded decrees, which means that every time you choose a decree, you will increase your damage by 10%. Now, I think that the best out of the bunch here is the twofold Torment decree, which doubles the damage you deal with status. Remember that our Letum is purely built for status, which is perfect for this. The second best decree would be Deadly Momentum, which also increases your damage while you are constantly moving. Then, we have Persistent Attrition that makes a target 10% more vulnerable to damage with each shot. When you get these decrees, go focus now on survivability with either Greedy Heal that restores a percentage of your health after killing an enemy, or Nourish Terror that grants you health when inflicting a status. For this case, Nourish Terror would be the priority, since Letum will proc status constantly and giving you constant heal with this decree. Between the Eyes and Duelist advantages, then the next decrees, as this will help you do more damage while you are not in Incarnon form. This will give you that one-shot headshot kill, especially if you have a few decrees so far. The rest is just for the added fun. Bombastine Malice is actually fun, as every time you do a headshot, it spreads toxin to enemies surrounding the target. Fearsome Bonanza is all about additional damage, but just a bonus though, as it only gives you damage when there are nearby enemies inflicted with status. And lastly, Lusinia's Suffering and Shattering Frost are great combos, as the latter will give you bonus damage for every enemies affected by cold, and the former ensures that you will proc cold status on nearby enemies. This is like a damage and crowd control combo which works in specific scenarios, but not something to prioritize first. And lastly, let's talk about my Letum evolution. I did made this last because most of you know it already, but for those who care, or for those new players, then the second evolution I have for Letum is the Marksman's Hand, which grants 40% no recoil. As you have seen in my build earlier, I do have steady hands in my Exilus that grants 60% no recoil, which means my Letum has no recoil, giving me that headshot prowess I need to build up my Incarnon meter fast. For the third evolution, I chose Lethal Rearmament as this is a massive help when I'm building my Incarnon meter. The faster I can reload, the faster I can shoot again and stack the meter to full fast. For the next evolution, I got Elemental Excess. More status and almost no critical chance is the goal here, so I can make my fifth evolution work perfectly. The last evolution is called Devouring Attrition, and what it does, it gives me a 2000% damage boost to non-critical hits. This is so good in the Incarnon form, and every rapid shots of the Letum is deadly. This is by far one of the most unique guns in the game, and breaks the red crit meta. In fact, Letum implies that status is still king even after 10 years, so that's it. I know that you can't choose Letum every time in the Duviri missions, but if you have it as a weapon choice, then pick it, as it's really fun and powerful to use in both Duviri experience and the circuit. Just a reminder, mod your Letum first though, as there are no options to mod it in the Duviri missions. Thank you so much for watching. Squad Leader signing off.